On my 30th birthday, my billionaire CEO wife, Sophia Sterling, prepared a special gift for me. A divorce agreement. And another man. Ethan signed it. Sophia's voice, like the woman herself, was as cold as a winter morning in Aspen, devoid of any human warmth. She tossed the thin stack of papers onto the dining table, where they landed beside the perfectly cooked ribeye steak I had made for my own birthday dinner, her supposed favorite. Across the table sat a stranger. He wore a custom-tailored white suit, a faint, knowing smile playing on his handsome face. It was the look of a victor pitying the vanquished. "Ethan, I'd like you to meet Julian Croft, Harvard MBA, and the new executive vice president of the company," Sophia announced, her tone as flat as if she were commenting on the weather. What she didn't mention was that Julian was also the one that got away from her college days, the subject of the only photo with another man she'd never deleted from her Instagram feed. I stared at Sophia, the woman I had loved for 5 years, the woman for whom I traded my own ambitions for an apron, willingly becoming the useless man behind the great woman. Her face was an all-too-familiar mask of icy impatience. Her eyes held not a flicker of sentiment for our 5 years of marriage. Fine, the heart that had hung in suspense for 5 years finally crashed. The living room door swung open and my father-in-law, Robert Sterling, and my brother-in-law, Kevin, strode in. "Sophia, is it done yet?" Robert asked, not even bothering to glance at me. "What's taking so long? Can't you handle a damn freeloader in 5 minutes?" Kevin sneered, jutting his chin in my direction, his face a canvas of contempt. "Ethan, have you no self-awareness? Look at Mr. Croft, then look at yourself. Do you really think you deserve my sister? Sign the papers and get lost. You're an eyesore." In 5 years, I'd heard variations of that speech countless times. In their eyes, Ethan Vance was just a guy from the wrong side of the tracks who got lucky, a parasite who was good for nothing but cooking and cleaning. I laughed, a hollow laugh that almost brought tears to my eyes. I picked up the divorce agreement and scanned it quickly. Asset division. The husband voluntarily waives all claims to marital assets. Child custody. Debt. Clean, efficient, and utterly ruthless. Sophia's legal team was clearly the best in the business. "What? Is there a problem?" Sophia's brow furrowed, the expression I saw from her more than any other. "Ethan, don't push your luck. 4 or 5 years, you've lived in my house, worn clothes I've paid for, and spent money I've earned. The fact that I'm not suing you for wasting my time is the greatest mercy I can offer." "She's right. Sophia's too soft," Kevin added, fanning the flames. "He should have to pay back every cent he spent. The Sterlings don't support charity cases." Julian Croft remained silent, merely swirling the red wine in his glass, observing me with the detached curiosity of a scientist watching a specimen. In the quiet of the penthouse dining room, their every word was a precision strike to my heart. I thought I had become numb to it, but it still hurt. I took a deep breath, swallowing the metallic taste in my throat, and looked up, my gaze sweeping over each of them. Over Robert's indifference, Kevin's scorn, Julian's arrogance, and finally, resting on the beautiful, frozen face of my wife, Sophia. "Sophia," I began, my voice so hoarse it didn't sound like my own. "Are you sure?" A flash of disgust crossed her eyes. "Ethan, drop the pathetic act. It just makes me sick. My patience is wearing thin." "Okay." I nodded, saying nothing more. I picked up the pen and, at the bottom of the last page, signed my name with a flourish. Ethan Vance. 2 words that ended a 5-year marriage and a 5-year joke. I tossed the pen on the table and stood up. "I wish you two all the best." I didn't pack a thing. In this home, nothing was truly mine. The designer clothes, the luxury watches, they were all props Sophia used to accessorize her life, proof that even her useless husband was kept in the finest things. Wearing the faded t-shirt and jeans I'd had for years, I walked toward the door, their contemptuous and mocking gazes burning my back. "Wait." It was Julian who spoke. I paused, my back still to him. "Ethan Vance, right?" His voice held a trace of amusement. "Sophia mentioned you used to be a programmer, and that you were involved in Etheltech's most important initiative, Project Chimera." My shoulders went rigid. Project Chimera. It was my life's work. The culmination of 3 years of relentless effort, an artificial intelligence data processing system I had designed from the ground up to revolutionize the industry. It was also the last gift I would ever give her. "You must be mistaken, Mr. Croft," I said without turning my voice flat. "I was just a gopher. I ordered takeout for the project team, kept the office tidy. I wouldn't know the first thing about the core technology." "Is that so?" Julian chuckled softly. "I'm just reminding you that, per the agreement you just signed, all intellectual property related to Project Chimera belongs to Etheltech. I trust you won't be making any baseless claims about it in the future." It was a warning and an insult, all in one. They didn't just want me gone. They wanted to erase any trace that I had ever contributed anything of value. "Don't worry." I pulled the door open. The city lights outside were blinding. "I won't take a single thing that belongs to Etheltech." I paused, then added the final words. "Have fun with it." I shut the door, sealing their world away from mine. They thought they had one. They thought they had ground me into the dirt, to be forgotten forever. They had no idea. What they had just thrown away wasn't a burden. It was the very pillar holding up their empire. And they had no idea what kind of disaster would be unleashed when the Pandora's box called Project Chimera was opened by the wrong hands. Leaving the gilded cage of the penthouse, I didn't feel the loss I expected. Instead, there was a long overdue sense of release. 4 or 5 years, I had lived like a shadow. For Sophia's career, for her casual remark that, "I need you behind me, not beside me." I had hidden my ambition, clipped my own wings, and willingly disguised myself as a harmless, docile man who was far beneath her. I thought my sacrifice would eventually earn her respect. I thought that once her company reached the pinnacle, she would finally see my worth. Now I understood. How could someone who only ever looks up at the moon notice the dust beneath their feet? So be it. From this day forward, Ethan Vance was no one's shadow. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I hadn't called in years. The call was answered almost instantly. "Dude, you're finally calling me. I thought that Ice Queen CEO had you locked in a tower." The boisterous voice on the other end belonged to my college roommate and best friend, Mike Chun. "Mikey, I need a favor," I said, my voice raspy. "Anything, man. You know I'd walk through fire for you. I need you to rent me a small office space. I'll text you the details. Also, keep an eye out for anyone looking to poach talent from Etheltech." Mike went quiet for a beat, his tone instantly serious. "Ethan, did you too?" "Yeah, we're done. As of today." "Holy crap. Are you serious? Is she blind? Does she have any idea what she just threw away?" Mike raged. "That's it. I'm going to go give her a piece of my mind. Her whole company is a house of cards without you." "Don't." I cut him off. "Let the past be the past. People have to pay for the choices they make." My voice was calm, but Mike heard the chill beneath it. "Ethan, what are you planning? Don't do anything crazy." "Don't worry," I said, looking at the distant skyline, a cold smile touching my lips. "I just want to see how long a ship can stay afloat after the captain has personally drilled a hole in the hull." After hanging up, I checked into a nondescript hotel. A long, hot shower felt like a baptism. I was reborn. I opened my laptop. In an encrypted, anonymous email account, more than a dozen unread messages were waiting. The senders were a who's who of top-tier tech firms and venture capitalists. "Dear Oracle, we at Google's AI division would like to once again extend a formal invitation to join us as our chief architect. Mr. Oracle, Microsoft has prepared a senior technology partner offer for your consideration. We await your word. Oracle, this is Stephen from Sequoia Capital. $300 million for the concept of your next project. You in? Oracle, that was my handle in the industry. A legend who existed only in whispers. A mythical programmer whose real identity was a complete mystery. A mind said to be able to predict the next decade of technological evolution. Hailed as the architect closest to God. No one knew that Oracle was the same person as Ethan Vance, the useless husband at Etheltech who was only good for ordering lunch. Not even Sophia. For her, I had rejected every offer, vanished from the scene, and dedicated myself to building a tech empire for her alone. Now, it was time for Oracle to return. I ignored the multi-million-dollar offers and clicked on an email from a sender named Apex Holdings. "Mr. Vance, our founder would like to meet with you." They didn't call me Oracle. They called me Mr. Vance. Apex Holdings, a new and aggressive player in the investment world, known for its ruthless tactics and mysterious backing. And Ethel Tech's biggest domestic competitor. They had found me. Interesting. I replied with 2 words. When? Where? A week later, Mike had set me up in a small, nondescript office space. Meanwhile, the media was buzzing with news about Ethel Tech. Ethel Tech announces official launch of Project Chimera. CEO Sophia Sterling calls it a revolutionary product that will define the AI era. Ethel Tech stock soars on Chimera news. Market cap jumps by $10 billion overnight. New EVP Julian Croft makes high-profile debut. The Harvard elite and the Ice Queen, a power couple forging a new empire. The accompanying photos showed Sophia and Julian standing side by side, a perfect picture of beauty and success. My existence had been completely scrubbed from her world. I watched it all with a calm detachment, as if observing a play that had nothing to do with me. Fireworks are always most brilliant right before they burn out. Then comes the fall and the darkness. Mike held up his phone, his face red with anger. Ethan, look at this crap. Power couple my ass. That Croft guy is a hack. And Project Chimera officially launched? Launched what? Without you, they can't even get past the first layer of the source code. The core architecture of Project Chimera was built entirely by me. To prevent leaks, I had constructed a 13-layer dynamic encryption firewall. The key to each layer was tied to an incredibly complex biological algorithm model. The algorithm was alive. It evolved based on time, environment, even network fluctuations. Forget Julian Croft. Even if they hired the best hackers in the world, they would never open that door without the key that I alone had built. I hadn't left Sophia a treasure chest. I had left her an empty box that she could never open, but would be forced to show off to the world. Patience, I said, sipping my tea. Let them fly a little higher. The fall will hurt more. My phone buzzed. A text from Apex Holdings. Tonight, 7 o'clock. The Pinnacle Club. On the way there, Mike drove his beat-up old sedan, his brow furrowed with worry. Man, these Apex Holdings people are sharks. The word is they eat people for breakfast. Are you sure it's safe to meet them like this? The most dangerous part is already over, I said, watching the city lights blur past the window, my eyes dark. What could be more dangerous than being stabbed in the back by the person you loved most? The Pinnacle Club was the most exclusive private venue in the city. As I entered, a manager in a stunning dress greeted me and escorted me respectfully to a private suite on the top floor. There was only one person in the room, a woman. She wore a fire-red dress, her long hair cascading down her back. Her features were sharp and striking, almost aggressively beautiful, and her almond-shaped eyes were so piercing they felt like they could see right through you. Her presence was so powerful, it was almost intimidating. Mr. Vance, I've heard so much about you. The woman stood and extended a hand, her voice a seductive, husky alto. My name is Victoria Thorne. I'm the founder of Apex Holdings. I shook her hand. Her grip was firm and warm. Ms. Thorne, let's cut to the chase, I said, taking a seat. How did you find me? Victoria smiled, and the whole room seemed to brighten. We couldn't find Oracle, she admitted freely, but we were watching Ethel Tech. We noticed that behind every single one of their successful projects, there was a shadow, a man with no impressive background, no advanced degree, who always happened to be in the right place at the right time. The trophy husband. Her gaze was fixed on me, filled with undisguised curiosity and admiration. So I made a bet. I bet that the legendary Oracle wasn't some mythical being, but a fool willing to hide in the shadows for love. It seems you won your bet, Miss Thorne, I said with a self-deprecating smile. No, I've only won half of it, Victoria said, shaking her head. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes blazing. The other half of the bet is whether that fool, after having his heart broken, will turn into a tiger ready to hunt. Her voice was hypnotic. Ethan, whatever Sophia Sterling gave you, I'll double it. As for Ethel Tech's market value, I'll help you drive it to 0 in 3 years. I want you to be the kingmaker at Apex. Do you have the nerve? What a woman. Direct and utterly ruthless. I looked at her and suddenly smiled. Ms. Thorne, you may have overlooked one thing. Oh, Ethel Tech, I said, lifting my teacup and blowing gently on the surface, a chilling glint in my eyes. won't need 3 years. It won't even need 3 months. It's going to rot from the inside out. Victoria's pupils contracted sharply. Victoria Thorne was a smart woman. She didn't press me for details, simply pouring me a glass of whiskey, her smile growing more intrigued. "It seems, Mr. Vance, that you've already prepared a parting gift," she purred. "In that case, I certainly can't miss the show. Ethan, my offer stands. The doors to Apex Holdings are always open for you." "Thank you for the generous offer," I said, raising my glass in a silent toast before downing it. "I'm sure we'll have a chance to collaborate. But not yet." "Why not?" "Because," I stood, looking down at her, and enunciated each word with cold precision. "When it comes to revenge, I prefer to do it myself." With that, I turned and left, leaving Victoria alone in the suite, her expression unreadable. She knew I had already set the board. All she had to do now was watch as the supposedly indestructible fortress began to crumble, brick by brick. I was right. 2 weeks after I left Sophia, the Project Chimera team imploded. "Ethan, it's happening." Mike burst into my office, practically vibrating with excitement. Half of the core programmers on Project Chimera just handed in their resignations. The entire project has ground to a halt. I wasn't surprised. Was the lead a guy named Leo Chun? "Dude, you're psychic, it was him," Mike said, stunned. "I heard that Leo was the chief programmer, and after you left, that hack Julian Croft couldn't control him. Croft tried to boss him around, demanding the team work 72 hours straight to crack the first firewall. And get this, they triggered a cascade failure that permanently corrupted the entire backend data chain. Terabytes of core data gone. Leo is a brilliant coder with a short fuse. He hates being managed by idiots," I said calmly. Croft messing with him was like lighting a fuse on a powder keg. I had handpicked every member of that team. Their loyalty wasn't to Sophia or Ethel Tech. It was to the reputation of Oracle. Now that I was gone, they weren't about to take orders from some slick Harvard MBA who couldn't write a line of code. "Sophia must be panicking now, right?" Mike said, rubbing his hands with glee. "Panicking?" I let out a cold laugh. "Right now, she doesn't have time to worry about such trivial matters." I pulled up a financial news website. The headline was explosive. "Regulatory storm brewing. SEC launches investigation into accounting fraud at publicly traded tech firms. Ethel Tech named as primary target." Mike's jaw dropped. "Don't tell me. That was you too." I shook my head. "I just sent an anonymous gift to an old friend before I left." My old friend was a deputy director at the SEC's Enforcement Division, a man with a reputation for being incorruptible. The gift was a complete set of Ethel Tech's internal accounting records for the past 5 years, the real ones and the cooked ones. Sophia was supremely confident, arrogant even. To make the company's quarterly reports look good and attract investors, she had frequently engaged in creative balance sheet optimization. For years, I had used a genius-level algorithmic model to cover her tracks, making everything appear seamless. But I was gone now, and I had left the backdoor key to that very algorithm in the hands of the federal government. 2 birds, 1 stone. I was pulling the foundation out from under her, leaving her to face attacks from all sides, forcing her to watch as the empire she was so proud of was eaten away by termites. "Damn, Ethan, that's cold," Mike said, a new layer of awe in his eyes. He knew the easygoing guy he once knew was gone. Standing here now was Oracle, an Avenger who had clawed his way back from hell. Cold, I looked out at the overcast sky. When she threw away 5 years of my life, did she show any mercy? While I waited, I wasn't idle. Using the Oracle identity, I registered a new project, Genesis. It was an entirely new AI architecture, far more ambitious and revolutionary than Project Chimera. I broke the initial framework of Project Genesis into countless encrypted modules and released them on the world's largest open-source code community, GitHub. It was like dropping a boulder into a pond. The global community of elite programmers and AI enthusiasts went into a frenzy over the sudden appearance of Project Genesis. They worked day and night, deciphering the God-level code. Every module they unlocked was like opening a door to a new universe. "Oh my God, did God write this code? It's beautiful. Oracle is back. He's going to single-handedly advance human civilization." Project Genesis. I'm calling it now, This is the greatest technological concept of the century. Within 2 weeks, Project Genesis became the hottest topic in the tech world. Venture capital firms were scrambling, waving blank checks, desperate to find Oracle and get a piece of the action. I ignored it all. I was just waiting, quietly, for my prey to walk into the trap I'd set. Finally, Sophia broke. It was late at night. The ringing of my phone shattered the silence of the office. A blocked number. I answered but said nothing. There was a long silence on the other end, then a voice I knew down to my bones, weary, hoarse, and female. "Ethan, is it you?" It was Sophia. She was no longer the imperious Ice Queen. Her voice held a note of something I'd never heard from her before, a tremor. "What is it?" I asked, my tone as polite and distant as if I were speaking to a stranger. My coldness seemed to catch her off guard. She took a deep breath. "The company is in some trouble. I want you to come back and help me. Come back." I laughed as if it were the funniest joke I'd ever heard. "Miss Sterling, have you forgotten we're divorced? I have no connection to you or to Etheltech anymore." "Ethan, don't be like this," her voice sharpened. "How long are you going to hold a grudge? I know you're angry with me, but the company is in real trouble. Half the Chimera team is gone. The SEC is crawling all over the office, and our investors are demanding answers. Do you have any idea what I've been through these past 2 weeks?" Her voice was filled with a sense of grievance, as if I were the one responsible for her problems. Incredible. Even now, she couldn't see her own fault. "That sounds like your problem, not mine," I said, cutting her off. "Ethan," she was practically screaming now, "you poured your heart into this company too. Can you really bear to watch it burn? I'm begging you, please come back. I'll give you anything you want. Equity, the highest position. Just come back." Listening to her desperate pleading, I felt no satisfaction, only a profound, chilling sadness. She only remembered my value when she had nowhere else to turn. "No, thank you," I said. "I'd advise you to focus on the SEC investigation. Last I checked, accounting fraud carries prison time." The air hissed out of her. She finally understood. "It was you. You reported me to the SEC. Why would you do that? You're a monster," she shrieked, a cornered animal lashing out. "A monster?" I chuckled, a sound devoid of any humor. "Sophia, the moment you stood there with your college sweetheart and threw a divorce settlement at my face, you should have known this day would come. You think this will destroy me. In your dreams. Just you wait. Ethan Vance? Sophia Sterling, would rather die than bow to a backstabbing snake like you." She slammed the phone down. I listened to the dial tone for a moment, then calmly blocked her number. I knew she wouldn't give up. Her pride wouldn't allow it. She would fight back, and I was waiting, because every move she made would only pull her deeper into the abyss. Sophia's retaliation came faster and was more foolish than I could have imagined. A few days later, an explosive story hit the internet. Shocking scandal. The ex-husband of Etheltech founder Sophia Sterling accused of stealing Project Chimera, trade secrets, and leaking them to competitors. The article was a masterpiece of fiction, painting me as a bitter, scorned freeloader who, after being kicked to the curb, sought to destroy the woman who had supported him. It included evidence. Grainy photos of my meeting with Victoria Thorne at the Pinnacle Club. A forged technology transfer agreement between myself and Apex Holdings. The internet erupted. An army of keyboard warriors who didn't know the first thing about the situation began a relentless campaign of harassment against me. Wow, what a disgusting gold digger. Lives off his wife, then tries to ruin her when she leaves him. You never know who you're married to. Sophia Sterling was blind to keep a snake like that in her house. Dox him, make his life a living hell. My personal information, my address, everything was leaked online. The door to my office was spray-painted with words like thief and traitor. Mike was so furious he almost went out to fight them, but I held him back. "Ethan, you can't let this stand. That witch is trying to frame you." "Let her," I said, my eyes glacially calm as I scrolled through the hateful comments. The more fuel she adds, the bigger the fire. Sophia was trying to flip the narrative. She wanted to use public opinion to shame me, to ruin my reputation so completely that no one would ever believe my side of the story. If she could brand me a corporate spy and send me to prison, She would have the perfect scapegoat for the failure of Project Chimera. It was a brilliant, vicious plan. Unfortunately for her, she was playing the wrong game. She thought she was dealing with Ethan Vance, the pushover. She didn't realize she was facing Oracle. In the digital world, I was a god. "Mikey," I said, turning to him, "get Victoria Thorne on the phone for me." When the call connected, I could hear the smile in Victoria's voice. "Mr. Vance, need some help? My PR team is on standby." "No need," I replied. "I'm just calling to give you a heads up. Get your funds ready. It's time to start buying." Oh, the interest in her voice was palpable. "So the main event is about to begin." "No," I said, hitting the final key on my keyboard, a cruel smile on my face. "It's about to end." I hit publish. 3 minutes later, an account with the username Oracle posted a long article on GitHub. The title was "Regarding Project Chimera and Project Genesis, a message to all who seek the truth." In the post, I didn't offer a single word of defense for myself. Instead, I did something much more devastating. I published the foundational source code for Project Chimera, and right alongside it, I published the complete first-phase architectural schematic for Project Genesis. I used the code itself to prove one simple, undeniable fact to the entire world. Project Chimera was nothing more than a stripped-down, incomplete, and fundamentally flawed subset of Project Genesis. Chimera was a fancy toy. Genesis was the aircraft carrier that would change the world. I laid the core code of both projects bare for every programmer on the planet to see, to analyze, to judge for themselves. The creator and the thief. The evidence was irrefutable. At the very end of the article, I added one final sentence. "I am Oracle. My name is Ethan Vance. Project Genesis is my new world. As for the piece of trash I threw away called Chimera, anyone who wanted is welcome to it." The post was a nuclear bomb. It detonated across the tech world and the media landscape. My God, I see it now. The core logic of Chimera is fatally flawed. It's an unfinished prototype. Oracle is Ethan Vance. So the legendary god of code is Sophia Sterling's useless freeloader ex-husband? Case closed. Ethan didn't steal Project Chimera. Sophia and Julian stole Oracle's unfinished work and tried to pass it off as their own. I have never seen anything so shameless. Sophia Sterling is a fraud and a thief. She tried to frame him. The tide of public opinion reversed in an instant. The traitor was now a wrong genius. The victim was now a despicable thief. Ethel Tech's stock price plummeted. It went from limit up at the market open to limit down before closing bell, a catastrophic crash in less than an hour. Investors were wiped out, selling orders flooding the market. Ethel Tech's official social media accounts and Sophia's personal profiles were overrun by a tidal wave of fury from investors, programmers, and the general public. Sophia Sterling is a cancer on the tech industry. Give me my money back. Thief. Liar. This was my final blow, an execution of the soul. Sophia tried to destroy my name, so I destroyed everything she held dear. Her company, her reputation, her carefully crafted image. I sent her crashing down from her ivory tower into the depths of hell. That evening, Ethel Tech announced an emergency suspension of trading pending an internal investigation. I knew it was over. The company was finished. Mike stared at the news, his face flushed with adrenaline. "Ethan, you're a legend. That was a checkmate move. Sophia must be regretting this so hard right now." I shook my head, feeling no joy in the victory. "She won't regret it," I said. "She'll just hate me more." I knew her. She was a predator. As long as she was breathing, she would use her last ounce of strength to strike back, even if it meant mutual destruction. As I expected, the call came late that night. It was from Victoria Thorne. For the first time, her voice was grave. "Ethan, you need to get out of your office right now. As fast as you can." "What's wrong?" "My sources just confirmed it. Sophia has lost her mind. She pulled strings, called in some very old, very dirty family favors. She's hired a crew of professionals to take care of you," Victoria said, her voice low. "That idiot, Julian Croft, wired the last of Ethel Tech's liquid assets to a mercenary outfit on the dark web. Take care of me." Mercenaries. The blood in my veins turned to ice. I knew she would retaliate. I knew she would be ruthless. But I never imagined she would put a hit on me. We were married for 5 years. Even if the love was gone, was there not a shred of humanity left? Ethan, are you there? Victoria's voice was urgent. Send me your location. I'm sending a team to get you. No need, I said, forcing myself to be calm. Thanks, Victoria. I can handle this. I hung up and looked at Mike. Mikey, call 911. Then get out of here. Now. What about you, man? I'm not leaving you here alone. Go. I snapped. You'll only be in the way. I have a plan. Mike saw the look in my eyes, gritted his teeth, and ran out of the office, phone in hand. I was alone. I walked to the window and peeked through the blinds. Down on the street, several black SUVs had parked silently at the corner, their lights off, like coiled snakes in the darkness. They were here. In that moment, a strange calm washed over me. So be it. Sophia, you wanted to play for keeps. Don't blame me for ending the game. I returned to my computer, my fingers flying across the keyboard. A secure, encrypted chat window popped up. Joker, is that you? Long time no see. The user on the other end was King, the #1 ranked hacker on the global leaderboards, a ghost in the machine. And I was Joker, his one-time rival, his equal, his friend. I didn't waste time with pleasantries. King, I need a favor. Give me the highest security access to the city's Skynet system. Skynet, the city's omnipresent, all-seeing surveillance network. There was a 3-second pause. Trouble? Big trouble. Password is the world is a stage. Good luck, my old friend. In the next instant, the entire city's surveillance network unfolded before me like my own set of eyes. I could see every street, every alley, every shadow. I watched as a dozen men in black tactical gear, their faces covered, exited the SUVs. They were armed with knives and collapsible batons. The leader had a jagged scar across his face. I took a screenshot of his face and ran it through a global law enforcement database. The result came back in seconds. Bloodwolf, an international fugitive, ex-special forces, with at least a dozen confirmed kills. Sophia really had spared no expense. I calmly mapped out an escape route, simultaneously sending my location and the real-time positions of the hit squad to the police anonymously. With that done, I uploaded all the critical data from my computer to a secure cloud server and then initiated the physical self-destruct sequence for the hard drive. A flash of light, the smell of burning plastic, and it was gone. I put on a hat and a mask, slung an empty backpack over my shoulder, and slipped out the back door of the office, melting into the night. The game of cat and mouse had begun, and I was not the mouse. I knew this neighborhood like the back of my hand. With access to Skynet, I was a player with a God mode map unlocked, always one step ahead of their dragnet. Target vanished from the back alley. Team 3, sweep east. Team 4, cover the subway entrance. Damn it, this guy is slippery as an eel. I had hacked their comms channel. I could hear their frustration in my earpiece. I walked through a bustling night market, blended into the crowd, ditched my jacket, and swapped my hat for a different one. In seconds, I was a different person. I found a 24-hour gaming cafe and sat down in the darkest corner. I logged into a temporary email account. A new message was waiting. It was from Victoria. Are you okay? I replied with one word. Alive. Her reply was immediate. The police are moving in, but this crew is professional. They're scattering. Sophia and Julian are on their way to the airport. They're trying to run. Run. After ordering a hit, not on my watch. My fingers danced across the keyboard. King, one more favor. I need access to all national airport and rail departure manifests. And I need to know where Sophia's father, Robert Sterling, is right now. King's reply was swift. So you want to catch all the fish in the net? You are a madman, Joker. Here you go. A torrent of data flooded my screen. I quickly located Sophia and Julian. They had booked 2 first-class tickets to the Cayman Islands, a haven for tax evaders and criminals. And her father, Robert Sterling, the sanctimonious old patriarch, was at his private estate in Greenwich, Connecticut, having tea with a very unexpected guest. Bloodwolf, the leader of the hit squad sent to kill me. It all clicked into place. Sophia and Julian were just pawns. The person who truly wanted me dead was Robert. He didn't care if Etheltech went under. But if I exposed what he did to seize control of his late wife's inheritance, the real foundation of the Sterling fortune, he would be utterly ruined. So I had to die. He just never counted on me surviving. I took the surveillance footage of Robert meeting with Blood Wolf, the evidence of Sophia and Julian's attempt to flee the country, and the entire, meticulously documented trail of Robert Sterling's decades of financial crimes. And I packaged it all up. I had been compiling this package for 5 years, ever since I first grew suspicious about the death of Sophia's mother. I had originally planned to spare Sophia this, to leave her a shred of dignity. Not anymore. I divided the package into 3 parts. One went to my old friend at the SEC. One went to the IRS's anonymous tip line. And the last one, I sent to Victoria Thorne. Victoria, gift. The House of Sterling is about to fall. You know what to do with the pieces. With that, I stood up and walked out of the cafe. The sun was coming up. The next day, the world shook. Breaking news. Ethel Tech Chairman Robert Sterling arrested in connection with murder-for-hire plot, massive tax evasion, and securities fraud. Ethel Tech CEO Sophia Sterling and EVP Julian Croft apprehended at JFK Airport while attempting to flee the country. NYPD and FBI bust major violent crime syndicate, leader known as Blood Wolf in custody. The news cycle was a blitzkrieg. The once untouchable Sterling empire crumbled into dust overnight. Just as I knew she would, Victoria Thorne and Apex Holdings moved in like sharks, swiftly acquiring the fractured pieces of the Sterling assets for pennies on the dollar. It was a feast, and I was the one who had served the meal. A week later, I received an unexpected call from Sophia's lawyer. Mr. Vance, Ms. Sterling has requested to see you before her trial. I hesitated, then agreed. It was time to close this chapter for good. In a visitor's room of the detention center, I saw Sophia again. In just a few short weeks, she had become a different person. Haggard, gaunt, her eyes hollow. Dressed in a plain gray jumpsuit, stripped of all her glamour. Her once stunning face was a mask of utter despair. Why? She finally spoke, her voice like sandpaper. Ethan, all I wanted was a divorce. Why did you have to destroy my entire family? I looked at her and found the situation tragically absurd. Even now, she was asking why. She was constitutionally incapable of seeing her own fault, forever casting herself as the victim. Sophia, I said, my voice calm, as if speaking to a stranger. The moment you hired men to kill me, you and I were done. It became me versus the Sterlings. A war you couldn't win. I didn't want you dead, she shot up, gripping the bars. It was Julian. He told me you were going to ruin us. He convinced my father. Yes, it was all him. He ruined us. She threw all the blame onto Julian, on her father. Anyone but herself. It was pathetic. He was your choice, wasn't he? I cut her off. Sophia, stop lying to yourself. You are here today because of your own greed, your own arrogance, and your own stupidity. My words pierced through a final layer of delusion. She collapsed back in her chair, the color draining from her face. Ethan, she began to sob, weeping like a broken child. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please, just give me one more chance. We can start over. We can. It's too late. I stood up, not giving her another glance. Goodbye, Sophia. I hope you use your time in here to reflect on what you've done. I walked away, her hysterical cries echoing behind me. I didn't look back. Some mistakes can be forgiven. Betrayal and murder are not among them. The verdict came down quickly. Robert Sterling, given his multitude of crimes, received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Sophia, for her role in the financial crimes and conspiracy, was sentenced to 20 years. Julian Croft got 15. Kevin Sterling, for his involvement in some of the illegal trades, got 5. The House of Sterling was officially extinct. Mike saw the news and wept with joy. We got them, man. We got them. We're getting drunk tonight. I smiled and shook my head. Mikey, book me a flight to Switzerland. Switzerland? Why? To go skiing, I said, looking out the window as the sun warmed my face. And to meet an old friend. It was time to finally meet King. I owed him one, after all. Besides, I was curious. What kind of person was the King who could match me move for move in cyberspace? My new life was just beginning. The past, with all its anger and pain, could be buried. Not forgiven, but forgotten. They were no longer worthy of taking up any more space in my life. My journey was just starting, and my sights were set on the stars, not on the rearview mirror at the smoldering wreckage I had left behind. 3 years later, Zermatt, Switzerland. In a cozy wooden cabin tucked away in a snow-covered forest, a fire crackled in the hearth. I sat before it in a comfortable sweater, a mug of hot chocolate in my hands, and a laptop on my knees. On the screen was the architectural schematic for the second phase of Project Genesis. These 3 years had been peaceful. Backed by the full power of Apex Holdings, Project Genesis had become the undisputed global leader in AI. I no longer needed to be hands-on, serving only as a remote advisor. The name Oracle had become a living legend in the tech world. Victoria Thorne had become my most trusted business partner and my most persistent friend, constantly trying to lure me out of my mountain seclusion to help her expand her empire. I wasn't interested. Joker, stop staring at your damn code and come eat. A bright, cheerful female voice called from the kitchen. I sighed and closed the laptop. A young woman in an apron, her hair tied in a messy bun and a smudge of flour on her cheek, emerged carrying a bubbling dish of lasagna. Her eyes sparkled. Her smile was radiant. This was King, the world's #1 hacker, the genius Victoria Thorne would give a blank check to hire. A quirky, brilliant girl in her early 20s named Angie. Who would have thought? When I had gone to that cafe 3 years ago, I hadn't met some nerdy guy in a hoodie. I had met Angie, a college student backpacking through Europe who looked more like a tourist than a cyber deity. She had greeted me with a giant hug and announced that, as repayment for all the fun we'd had as rivals online, she was dedicating herself to being my personal chef. I had been amused and bewildered, but I couldn't get rid of her. She stuck to me like glue. And so, my solitary retirement, for one, became a life for two. We skied together, we solved impossible coding problems together. We watched the sun rise over the Matterhorn. She brought a chaotic, vibrant, human energy back into my life. The old wounds, in the warmth of these quiet days, finally healed over, leaving no scars behind. Ethan, what are you spacing out for? Angie asked, setting the lasagna on the table with a pout. Taste it. It's a new recipe. I took a bite. The rich, savory sauce was perfect. It's amazing, I said sincerely. Of course it is, she puffed out her chest, proud as a peacock. After dinner, she sidled up to me, a conspiratorial glint in her eye, and showed me her phone. It was a news alert from back in the States. Former Etheltech CEO Sophia Sterling, granted parole for good behavior, was released from prison today. The article had a photo of Sophia standing outside the prison gates. The years had not been kind. She was thin and pale, the light in her eyes completely extinguished. She looked like a ghost. A middle-aged woman, likely a distant relative, picked her up. They got into a generic sedan and disappeared. The fallen queen. TSK, what a waste of a pretty face, Angie commented. I heard she can't get a job anywhere. Works washing dishes in some diner. But people recognize her and give her a hard time. I stared at the photo, feeling nothing. Not hatred, not pity. Just a void. Indifference. She was a stranger to me now. Her future, for better or worse, had nothing to do with me. Hello. Angie nudged me with her elbow. No thoughts. I put the phone down, looked at her and smiled. I have one. What is it? She asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. I reached out and gently wiped the tiny smudge of flour from the tip of her nose. I looked her in the eyes and said, with the utmost seriousness, Angie, I think you might have put a little too much salt in the lasagna. She stared at me for a second, then her face flushed a deep red as she jumped to her feet in mock outrage. Ethan, you're impossible. I'm trying to be serious here. I laughed and pulled her into my arms, letting her playfully punch my chest. The fire burned brightly in the hearth. Outside, the world was a canvas of ice and snow. Inside, there was only warmth. I once thought my world had ended in a fire of betrayal. I never imagined that after I had burned the ruins to the ground myself, something far better would grow from the ashes. As for Sophia and the ghosts of the past, they could stay buried forever in the blizzard I had created. Everyone pays for their choices. She chose her ambition and the man she couldn't forget. I chose the sun and a life filled with warmth and slightly salty lasagna. It was a fair trade.